Jason lay at the bottom of the ravine, his leg broken, blood on his face, jackals closing in. He couldn't scream, couldn't move. Then from the ridge above came a roar, and out of the darkness stepped a lion, not to attack, but to protect. But what happened next will shock even those who thought they'd seen everything. Now let's go back to the beginning. The air at the cliff's edge felt unnaturally still, as though the land itself held its breath. Jason's boots crunched over loose shale as he approached the drop, adrenaline blooming hot in his chest. Below him, the lion writhed against the barbed wire, muscles rippling with every panicked movement. The ledge beneath it cracked audibly with each struggle, a cruel countdown ticking beneath their feet. The wire had cinched deep into the beast's foreleg, flesh bunched and torn, crimson trailing down tawny fur like paint on canvas. A wild, regal creature reduced to panic and pain, trapped by the careless hand of man. Jason secured the rope to a rock outcrop, knuckles white. His breath came short, not from exertion, but memory. He'd seen this before, in different bodies, different eyes. The frozen horror of soldiers pinned under wreckage, the moment before the morphine took. He didn't speak then. Now he forced himself to. Calm, rhythmic, steady. Words meant not for the lion, but for himself. He lowered carefully, feeling the burn in his shoulders, eyes never leaving the animal. At 10 feet away, the lion noticed him. Its ears pinned flat, fangs bared in a warning that sent instinctive fear shooting up Jason's spine. He paused. Not fear for his life, he'd made peace with that long ago, but fear that any sudden move would tip the scales and drive the animal to self-destruction. Slowly, he knelt, unpacked the bolt cutters, and extended one trembling hand. His voice dropped to a murmur. Not pleading, just presence. The lion blinked, muscles trembling. Then, it stilled. The wire didn't give easily. Each snip came with a grunt of force, a flinch from the lion, a heartbeat of silence. Blood matted Jason's forearms. Sweat stung his eyes. The final strand was wound around bone, fused with flesh. He slid the blades beneath it, whispering apologies that weren't for the lion alone. A sharp twist. Metal snapped. The lion jerked, snarled, then slumped. Breathing hard, its flank rose and fell in ragged bursts. Jason didn't move. Neither did it. Then, impossibly, it looked at him. Not past him, not through him. At him. Those eyes, gold and ancient, held a flicker Jason couldn't name. Not fear, not fury. Something older. Something shared. Then, without a sound, the lion limped into the brush, disappearing into the tall grass like a ghost returning to its kingdom. Jason stayed where he was, hands bloodied, heart loud, and then he laughed, raw, hollow, half-choked, and wept into the dirt. Not from fear, not from relief, from the quiet weight of being seen. The nights in Namibia could be brutal, the kind of silence that didn't soothe, but pressed into your chest like weight. Jason had lived through darker nights in war zones, but there was something unnerving about this. The stillness after saving a creature born of instinct and fang. No jungle rot, no sirens, no screams. Just that moment burned into him. The lion's eyes, amber and ancient, locking with his in that terrible hush before it vanished into the grass. Now the quiet felt different, alive, watched. Sleep refused to come. His tent, a fragile barrier against the wild, felt more like a stage beneath an unseen gaze. He would lie still for hours, breath shallow, waiting for sounds that never came. But in the mornings, prints, clear and deliberate, not random tracks, not the chaotic scuff of scavengers. Gideon had circled the tent again and again. Once, Jason found a paw print beside his own boot print, impossibly close, fresh. A message, though he wasn't sure if it was a warning or a gift. And then, there was the antelope. Its body lay 100 feet from camp, its throat torn with surgical precision, its ribs untouched. Vultures hovered above, but they didn't land. Jackals lingered at the tree line but wouldn't cross. It was as if the carcass carried a scent stronger than death, a claim. Jason stood over it, wind tugging his jacket, and something primal stirred inside him. This wasn't a kill for sustenance, it was a sign. When Gideon appeared on the ridge, the sun behind him like a crown of fire, Jason didn't reach for his binoculars. He didn't need to. The lion didn't move, didn't pace, didn't roar. He watched, a silhouette carved into the dying light, still as the rocks beneath him. Jason felt no fear, no threat, only gravity, as if some invisible cord now tethered him to this creature. The kind of bond you didn't choose, but inherited. The scientists were quick with their theories. Predatory behavior, dominance display. You're part of his territory now. But they were wrong. Jason had studied behavior all his life, dissected patterns in wolves, cheetahs, primates. But nothing in his years prepared him for this, for the presence of something that felt neither territorial nor wild, but deliberate, knowing. And when the hyenas came, yipping, bold, circling close enough that their yellow eyes caught the glint of firelight, Jason reached for the flare. He didn't fire, because Gideon came. A blur of muscle and fury erupted from the dark, and chaos followed. Snarls, shrieks, scattering paws, and then silence. When Jason stepped outside, all that remained were paw prints leading back into the night. The lion hadn't just saved him. He had claimed him. The sky had begun its slow descent into dusk when Jason veered off the usual trail, chasing the flicker of motion his drone had caught an hour earlier. The trench hadn't been there before, at least not like this. Rains and erosion had sheared the earth open like a wound, jagged and raw, flanked by soil the color of old blood. It wasn't just the topography that sent a chill through him. It was the sound. A high, frantic trumpet, repeated, piercing. He parked and moved on foot, the drone's signal guiding him to the source. Then he saw them, one moving, one still. The calf was wedged between a boulder and its mother's body, too large to climb, too small to escape. The mother's eyes were glazed open, dusted in flies, her body half covered in dirt and twisted foliage. The calf nudged her again and again, a bleeding moan of pure confusion. It didn't understand death, only absence. Jason's rope groaned as he descended, pain pulsing through his thigh from an old injury reignited by the climb. The trench narrowed in the center, steep rock on either side, with slick, unstable footing. Every movement sent pebbles skittering into the abyss. He crouched low, whispering to the calf, not words, but sounds, rhythms. His voice was calm, practiced, the same cadence he used with trauma patients in the field, or later with Gideon. A sound to say, I am not danger, but fear is a contagion. And the calf had been breathing it for hours. It bucked. One hoof struck the stone ledge, a thunder crack. Then nothing. Jason awoke to black. No stars, no moon. Just a thick, suffocating dark, broken only by pain. His leg screamed, a jagged bolt of fire radiating from his knee down to where the joint bent unnaturally beneath him. His face was wet, blood, sweat, or both, and the distant clicking of jackal laughter echoed through the ravine like broken glass. He tried to sit. Failed. The smell of death and dust and his own fear filled his lungs. Then, that sound. Low, deep, ancient. Not jackal. Lion. From above, the shape emerged, a mane rimmed in silver by starlight, shoulders broad as stone, eyes alight with something terrible and purposeful. Gideon. He didn't roar at first. He growled, guttural and unbroken, a warning threaded with certainty. Jackals whimpered, but lingered. Then the roar came. It split the ravine in two. Echoes ricocheted through the stone until the scavengers vanished like smoke. Jason slumped back, half-conscious, as the lion paced the ridge. Not circling, guarding. He drifted in and out of awareness through the night, each time waking to the same sound. The slow, deliberate scrape of Gideon's paws on rock. Never closer, never farther. At dawn, the wind shifted. Blades beat the air above. Voices, the whir of descent. And when the rangers reached him, bruised, broken, half buried in rubble, they didn't just find a man clinging to life. They found the imprint of a lion's vigil, paw prints in a protective arc, scavenger tracks torn apart mid-pursuit. They said it looked like the beast had lain beside him. Jason didn't speak for a long time after. Not because he didn't remember, but because there was no language for what had passed between them. They called him the lion who guarded a man. They called it a miracle, a myth, a rare bond science couldn't explain. News anchors debated the footage, thermal drone images showing the unmistakable outline of a lion beside a wounded human. Wildlife experts appeared on podcasts dissecting every behavioral anomaly. The public feasted on it, dissected it, turned it into headlines and hashtags. Tush Gideon the Protector. Jason Turner wanted none of it. He watched it unfold from a hospital bed, the white noise of machines and media overlapping in a haze. They called Gideon a phenomenon, a creature defying natural law. But they missed the truth entirely. Gideon hadn't defied anything. He had remembered. He had chosen, and Jason couldn't bear to let that be reduced to spectacle. When he could walk again, haltingly with a cane and a leg that forecasted rain before it came, he returned. No fanfare, no press, just a single satchel and a plan that didn't involve any plan at all. He leased a patch of land near the cliff's edge, where the wind still howled through the same ravine that had nearly swallowed him whole. The scars on his leg throbbed as he built a one-room cabin with his own hands, each nail a meditation. He strung no electric lights, used no drones, installed no Wi-Fi. He wasn't here to document. He was here to remember. Each day passed like a ritual. He walked the land with reverence, not searching, but being. He spoke aloud sometimes, not expecting answers. He read aloud too, mostly from his old journal, now weathered and filled with more questions than observations. Time unfurled in its natural shape. Sun, dust, silence, sleep. Then, one evening, just as the sky bled into violet and the wind pulled the warmth from the stones, Jason felt it before he saw it. A presence, a shift in the stillness. He turned. There on the high ridge, unchanged by time or story, stood Gideon. Older, maybe. Scarred, but unmistakable. No roar, no sound, only the look. That same unblinking gaze from the wire-ripped ledge all those months ago. Not wild, not tame, something beyond. Jason stood motionless. There was no need to move, no need to speak. They simply were. Man and lion, cast in dusk, shaped by pain, connected not by miracle, but by memory. And then, as the final light slipped beneath the earth, Gideon turned and vanished into the tall grass, as though returning to some deeper wilderness where language and myth could no longer reach him. Jason watched the place where the lion had stood, and in a voice too quiet for anyone but the dusk to hear, he said, "Thank you." That was all. That was everything.